We are live.
Good morning, good evening, everybody based on the time zone, and welcome everyone to an interactive virtual session on a new topic of technical consulting. I am Shreyan Nandi, 2012 pass out from IIST Shivpur, that time named as GAABESU, we all know, and currently working as a senior manager in Accenture Technology Consulting in India. I will be the moderator for today's session. As a part of this session, IIST Alumni Networking Pilot Program, we have created 3 special interest groups, which we eventually call SIGs. Technical Consulting SIG is one of them. Today's event is the 3rd event for this SIG. Today's topic centers around essential skills and knowledge of aspiring technical consultants, and we'll try to address some of the key areas which we always hear from the young engineers. We have 3 esteemed speakers for today's event. Today, we will try to focus on 3 separate domains of consulting. 1, core engineering topic, business consulting, and information technology. We will try to hear from our expert dadas about their experience and their guidance of this topic. Let me first introduce our speakers. So firstly, we have Amitabh Da. Amitabh Da is himself an inspiration in this area of engineering consultancy with his huge 50 years of professional career. He did his graduation in civil engineering from BE College in 1974. He started his professional career with BBJ Construction Company Limited, and in 1983, he joined Stoop Consultant Limited and served for 39 years. Before retiring, he was the vice president and also was heading Stoop's Eastern Region office at Kolkata. Presently, Amitabh Da is serving as technical advisor to the associate at South Asia part, that is, we call it as LASA, at Macron Technology Limited and Transplex Infra Solution. And most importantly, Amitabh Da is leading us as our current GAABESU president. So thank you, Amitabh Da, for your precious time to join with us. Then,
thank you, sir.
Thank you, Amitabh Da, again. Now I'll come to Surajit Da. Surajit Pramanik Da, who by education is a interestingly mining engineer from BE College in 1889, and now has chosen his career in IT consulting afterwards. He has spent over 3 decades in various software development and technology consulting roles. He has been working with the world's largest enterprise across the globe, leading the implementation of various business application systems. He is currently heading the North America unit of SAP for HANA and related technologies as vice president. Thank you so much, Surajit Da, for joining us today, very early from California. I understand it's a very early morning to you, but thank you so much for giving us the time.
You're welcome, and it's an honor for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I will come to Sandip Da. Sandip Da graduated from BE College in 1998, Mechanical Engineering. Sandip Da is a supply chain and sustainability leader at IBM Consulting. Prior to this, he had a stellar career at Deloitte, KPMG, Oracle Consulting, Infosys, Lafarge, and Tata Motors. He is also a BOG member at IIM Kozhikode and serves on the board of several companies. The funny thing is, we heard from a reliable source that being a prominent voice in supply chain today in India, Sandip Da had messed up the supply chain of the college mess a few times. So much to agony of his hostel mate, of course. Sandip Da has been editing GAABESU newsletter for more than a decade. Thank you so much, Sandip Da, for giving us the time today. Everyone, please welcome our awesome speakers, and thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege and honor to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandip Da, again. Now we will start our today's panel discussion with the current trend of and opportunities of the technical consulting, specifically for the newcomers. So, means for the newcomers and the young engineers we will focus on different topics with our esteemed panelists. On the topic, my first question is to Amitabh. So Amitabh, the question to you is for just wanted to understand for today's young engineers, what are the opportunities you think in the core technology consulting areas?
Okay. Thank you, Shreyan. As you mentioned about the opportunities, and particularly I will mention about the consulting. You know, we one has to understand about what is the consulting business and what is generally design engineering. Consulting is basically serving a client from the beginning of a project, rather inception to the completion. And as you told about that opportunity, there are plenty because a lot of infrastructures are happening in our country in a different sectors. As my background is civil engineering, so naturally I'll be mostly talking in the same domain of a civil engineering. There are plenty of opportunities. A lot of informations, a lot of anecdotes, etc., will be coming in the process of our interaction. So I will not talk much on this, but there are opportunities. Okay. Shreyan.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Amitabh. It's a very useful, quick information. And then now let me go to Sandeep quickly. Sandeep, in the era of digital transformation, what are the key considerations do you think in the business consulting area?
See, at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is solve a business problem. So whether you call it as a tech consulting or a management consulting or a business consulting, what CXOs are expecting is that you solve a business problem for them. And today, what is happening is the definition of technology and business consulting has become blurred because it's all very intertwined. So while as an engineering graduate, you may be very good at your technical skills, but understanding of business is important because you need to speak to your stakeholders. So that's why it's not difficult to really pick it up. Maybe you have to put in some extra effort to do it. But net, if I look at it, don't look at it as a silo because a business consultant has to understand technology and a technology consultant also has to understand it. So that's where I think the world is moving.
That's a very useful answer, or that's a very useful advice. I would rather say, Sandeep, to meet the expectation, right? So what you talked about, and I think we need the means as you told that, right? The means the boundaries are becoming blurred nowadays. I think we need pretty much technology help to implement these expectation for business strategies and all, right? So hence, means my next question is for Surajit Da. Surajit, when it comes to information technology, right, the core area of technical consulting, which is the backbone, right, to support, how does a diverse mindset play a role to become a successful consultant, if you can explain?
Thank you, Shreyan. That's a very good question and rather close to my heart. And I would like to go back to what Sandeep just said, that technology and business, they're consulting, they're getting blurred, right? Yes, they are blurred. Not a single line of code is written unless there was a need for it, right? So we have to understand what is the need, what is the business need. And in IT, what we are trying to do, we are trying to build solutions, software, and the success of the software, the solution, the project depends on its usability, its adoption. The larger the user base, the more successful the solution or the software is. Now, in today's world, the user base is global, right? Everybody has a phone, everybody has a device, and they can access software solutions. So to be able to build a global solution, global software, we must ensure that the solution has globally usable or applicable standards, features, functionalities, user interfaces, etc. Now, the thing is, nobody has that ability to understand or know beforehand what the global standards are. So the more you have participation from different various countries, various experiences, various areas of engagement, the better your software is going to be. You will support, let's say, take an example. The taxation laws are different in every country. If I am to develop a global software, I need to have a good understanding of that country. The total amount on a bill, it's displayed in the bottom right in India, but in US, it is in the top right. So your software solution has to be designed so that it is easily accessible and usable by the global user base. So product design becomes very good with diversity. I'll like to add a couple more points. So there's a lot of benefits, but the second point I would like to highlight is problem solving. When you have a problem and you have a group of people trying to resolve the problem from different angles, your chance of reaching a resolution is much higher if you have people thinking differently. So, and I have experienced it myself. So problem solving is another one. The third one I would like to highlight is innovation. Differing viewpoints challenge traditional conventional thinking. And it forces everyone to think outside the box. And that's when new ideas come out and they crystallize. So it's a lot of benefit having a diverse team.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's really true. Yeah, that's really true. And thanks, Surajit, for that means guidance, right? And the key areas to highlight the key areas on that. And now, means on this top-down approach, what Surajita was speaking about, right? With that chain, right? Let me go back to Amitabh. Right. So my question to Amitabh is, what do you advise to the newcomer about the best time to opt for a career as core engineering consultant? And if you add also how they may define their career roadmap going forward, right? So this is a very key topic for the new engineers if you guide them with your vast experience.
Okay. The first one has to understand about that consultancy. We talk about consultancy. A lot of people mix up it with the engineering design contracts. Engineering design contracts is only a small component for a consultancy. A consultant means he has got to serve to a client from the inception of a project to its closure, means completion and closure. So one has to make himself understand that what the subject he is going to handle from the college you pass out, then you have rather a background of engineering, which is a basic. Then is always preferred that a perfect person in a consulting firm who delivers projects in a team to a client has a overall experience of construction, that and the different features of construction and design engineering itself. So for that, one has to understand what this consulting firm rather recruits. They recruit structural design engineer, they recruit quality and costing engineers, they recruit quality assurance engineers, like so on, right? Construction supervision expert, contract. Nowadays, the contract management is a very special, but you don't come out from the college to be a specialist in contract management. So one has to first start with the engineering, and I always suggest that it is not that once you pass out, you have got to look for a white collar job in a design engineering company. A design engineering company is a part of a consulting firm. Design engineering is a small component of the total consultancy. So, if you see a project consists something about, say, 85% is the construction part. It goes to the contractors, vendors, and 4 to 5% goes to the component as a consulting engineering or design component, etc., project management. And a percentage of, say, 3 to 4% goes for administrative management. So, there are vast opening to get an experience first with a construction company, get an exposure about the latest technology, latest construction management, style of working, project planning, execution. Once you have got that basic background engineering, then you come back, join is a consulting organization, you will find yourself more fittest to be a successful person in a project management company, where you get an opportunity of managing a project instead of doing some design work for the same organization. So my suggestion is always, basically the consulting engineers uses their skill, their knowledge, and they go for innovative solutions. Until and unless you go for the innovative solutions, economic solutions, cost effectiveness, you don't have a value. So this is what one has got to understand very clearly, that which direction you wants to go. Because the consulting engineering starts for a project, it starts feasibility, it starts project costing, budgeting, bidding, selection of vendors on behalf of the consultant. So there are a lot of activities in a consulting firm, not a design contract company. Design contract company does only the design of a particular thing, but he is not responsible for the execution of the project or completion of the project.
So
So
true.
this is
Yeah.
very important. Yep.
Yeah. So and that's very important, Amitabh. In fact, we will come back again to you, means to understanding it more, right? So definitely, but just taking one of your point, right, that managing the project and understanding the project, right, to do it right means many young engineers means are very much interested to pursuing their MBA after engineering, right, to make their background strong in the in the management area. From that point, right, means maybe a quick question to Sandeep Da. Like as you have been a board member at IIM Kozhikode at your means at your base, right? With your experience, how much do you feel it is essential after having engineering graduation to start with a consulting career with means doing MBA from any reputed universities? It's a, I would say, a very common question to means from the young engineers who are doing graduation, etc. So if you can give your thoughts.
So I think it's a $1,000,000 question which everybody will be asking. So first of all, I want to make it very clear that MBA is not a magic wand which is going to change you overnight. You still have to work hard. You still have to go through the grinds. But what an MBA education gives you, it's the package, collective wisdom of so many years given to you in a package. It definitely helps you in a consulting business, because a lot of time as engineering graduates we are not exposed to the business scenario so much, but this you will get in an MBA education. But there are multiple factors which I personally feel you need to look at. First of all, a lot of people in India still go for a MBA immediately after engineering without having work. While in India it is still okay, but for you it will be a very frustrating experience because you may not be able to relate it. So sweet spot is between 2 to 3 years. If you work and then go to an MBA, you will actually get the value of an MBA education. Next is, if you look at the consulting industry, they usually don't hire freshers by the primary reason that a lot of them do not have the emotional maturity. They expect that you work for a year and come back, because there will be tough clients, abusive clients, and I have seen a lot of people who have not worked in the industry really break down. Third is, if you look at it, when I graduated, the MBA education was about 2 lakhs. Now it is 20 plus. So don't look at it from an ROI that I will get a salary like that, because that will be a frustrating experience, because you will have a very diverse peer group and you will get the benefits of an MBA education maybe 5 years, 6 years after you graduate. Another trend which we are seeing is a 1 year MBA full time. That is because people don't want to spend so much time for a 2 year, because things are changing really fast. The other option which I say is executive MBA. You don't leave your job, you can still go ahead with it. But trust me, this will not really change your career, because companies still look at it that you have paid the money and got an MBA degree. There is no real entrance test, or you have not gone through the process, because companies also want assurance. They want to take somebody who has been tested through the entrance, the group discussion, the interview. You have survived the course. So these are few considerations you need to look at. Don't just do it just because everybody is doing it, because otherwise it will be very frustrating for you.
Yeah, thanks, Sandeep. It's. I hope this will help answering a lot of doubts in the mind from our means young graduates, right? That's seriously a very useful answers. And now I'll come to Surajit Da with another means maybe interesting questions. I always hear from the very young engineers and who are still studying in the college, right? So in the IT technology consulting area, since you have a vast experience over here, you have spent a lot of decades over here, right? Now we could see that in the IT consulting area, various people from diverse background doing the same things, right? Means it's a mindset that means what it's from all different colleges from different backgrounds are doing the same coding or something like that, right? Doing software administration. Obviously, the question comes from the newcomers from the engineering background that what are the wow factor for them to pursue their career in IT consulting, right? I have the same question to you. What is an engineer being an engineer? Their motivation to get a white collar IT job and take it as a career path means above other competency.
That's also a great question. Thank you, Shreyan. But I would like to, before I answer, I would like to take a moment to appreciate Sandeep's response to the previous question. I wish we had access to this kind of knowledge when we were studying. So thank you, Sandeep. That was a great answer. Now, coming back to Shreyan, your question, it's really an individual's choice, right? Whether they want to pursue a career in their line of studies or they want to move to IT, and I respect everyone's decision. And don't get me wrong, we need great mining engineers doing great mining work, great mechanical engineers doing great mechanical work. We need musicians making good music. So it's not that everybody has to switch to IT. Now, to answer your question, I probably would start by going back to the topic of diversity, although in a slightly different context. Let me say it this way. If an IT career offers the opportunity to work in 26 different industries, from high tech to oil and gas to food and beverage to heavy equipment to mining to manufacturing, in multiple countries of the world, travel to new locations every so often. And most importantly, if your project team is a new team of talented individuals every time, I think it can be a pretty fulfilling and satisfying experience. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, definitely, it's an interesting answer. That actually, means on the same topic, right? Means my next question to you only would be: when you go to means to for a recruitment event, right? To means recruit IT freshers doing their graduation, post graduations in an institute. What do you specifically look at to them, which acts as a differentiator for them to be selected, right?
Okay, so number one, soft skills, communication. Communication is super important. Okay, it's the ability to communicate to different levels of audiences, C-level to the technology team on the ground. If I were to start my career today, I would invest in attending a training in communication, both written and spoken. Okay, so I would encourage that. And I look for that communication skills when I hire, when I interview. The other thing, and it's actually something that Sandeep touched upon, is the adaptability. You know, most likely some point in time, you will have to work with the client that you do not agree with. And it's not an easy situation to be in. So the ability to adapt, ability to make friends, that is something I look for. And you know what helps in making friends is an interest in diverse topics. sports, games, movies, music, travel. You will find a common ground with everyone if you have a diverse interest. And that's how you make friends easily. So I look for that kind of qualities. The most important thing is, of course, willingness to learn. There is no end. I understand that every industry, every line of business requires learning, but I think it's safe to say things in IT changes much faster. So it's like you keep yourself up to date or perish. So willingness to learn is super important. Now, in terms of technical skills, I want to be very tactical or prescriptive rather, okay? Instead of saying you learn programming, I would say you learn Java, you learn Python scripting, okay? You learn the cloud concepts, the concepts of virtualization, containerization, compute systems, networking layer. Learn about these things. I would, if I were starting my career today, I would get a certification in solution architecture design on one of the cloud providers like AWS or Google Cloud Platform or Microsoft Azure. There are many, many courses available in platforms like Udemy and all. Make that investment. Take a course because structured learning always helps. It is super important. Otherwise, you will end up spending enormous amount of time. And one thing I would like to warn is don't get caught up in notifications, recommendation, and blogs. No, they just drag you out sideways instead of allowing you to go to the depth of a topic. So take a structured course, get a certification in cloud provider solutions. And lastly, I would also probably take a training in formal training in using ChatGPT. We have learned over the years, we have learned how to use Google, right? How to use the proper search string. And it will be super important for all of us to learn how to use ChatGPT. I think a structured learning in ChatGPT will also be very helpful.
That's true, Surajita. In fact, I was remembering the means IT means consulting companies doing the group discussions in the campus. Means just hearing your comments, right? So that's really interesting, right? That reflects a lot, right? And probably it will help our current students a lot. Now, coming back to Sandeep on the same topic, right? Sandeep, what your thought, what you personally look at to the campus, means during campus hiring, the means differentiative factors and looking at the students, like Surajit told, right? Communication skill is one of the key factors. But what are the different areas from your experience you look at?
I think what Surajit answered, I think cannot be a better answer than that. He has mostly covered most of the stuff, but maybe I will add a point or two. So what I believe is skills can always be learned. So what I look at is the person going to do it? Is the person willing to do it? Is the person ready to put the extra effort to do it? Because a lot of times we have situations in my previous company where we did not have an oil and gas consultant. So overnight, I had to become an oil and gas consultant. So that means I had to network with some of my batchmates who were in Indian Oil, learn about the industry, learn about what was there in our global database, and go to the customer the next day and talk to somebody who has spent 30, 40 years in this industry. I think this is the skill we want to test is, can you do it? Will I get the confidence that this person will be able to do? Because a lot of times, even if that person is willing to do it, they don't want to put that effort. I think other than what Projita already covered, I think these are the two additional things which we look at when we look at, because skills can always be learned if you have the right intent.
Yeah, so true. Means I think this covers a lot and help our means juniors a lot on this area, means who are aspired to come. Now on it's means a similar topic, but in a different way, right? To coming back to Amitabhoda, uh, the youngsters are still not very clear about the role of consultants in core engineering. I would say you um, did give an answer in a very high level, but now my question is actually on behalf of others. So, what if you explain what do actually engineering core engineering consultants do? All right.
Okay. A very good question in the sense that what is core engineering consultancy? As I told earlier also, consultancy is a responsibility for the client, final client, to process or prepare a project, inception of the project till it is completed. Means inception of the project, then do the design, then selection of a vendor, the selection of a contractor, then execution, quality control, project management, time management, and ultimately closure of the if there is a defect liability period after the completion of the project, then you ultimately close a project. Till that, it is your responsibility. But that needs a long time for a person, and that is the reason why is a consultancy means is a teamwork. It is not that only individual does this work. And as you mentioned about the quality and that experience, a fresh graduate immediately coming out of the college cannot be a part of any consulting team that way. He has to has some expertise. Say particularly, he can be a good structural design engineer in the bridge sector, in the road sector, in a highway sector, in water supply sanitation, different sectors. I am mostly talking about civil engineering domain. Then a consultant needs all type of experts. But once you have an experience about the construction, as I told, it is my suggestion to the young guys who are freshly coming up, please try to be a part of at least 7 to 8 years with a construction company. It may be a big, it may be a small, but please be there if you want to be a successful consultant and project management consultant at the end of the day. Because once you get that experience of different activities in a construction, then when you come back to a consulting, first you join as a structural design engineer, then you do maybe your specialization in bridges and highways. But as Shundip also mentioned about, that you have got to cover up. You just, being a consulting organization, you just cannot say, I am expert in highways. No, you have to also cover up water supply sanitation, so that you can go to your client and you be able to talk to them convincingly, and they get a confidence on you that yes, this gentleman can deliver. This is a major thing. Then you slowly take it over. If you have got a construction background, I will give an example of myself. I worked for a BVJ construction company for 8.5 years, and then I came and joined Stoop Consultants. And 83 to 39 years I served, and I could handle this organization. From the inception of this organization till I retired, I handle almost all type of projects. Though my core sector even today is bridges, highways, bridges, and railway bridges and highway bridges. But I did most of that other types of work only because I had a background of construction. So it is very important that you have a overall knowledge and you start yourself as a particular design engineer in a sector, because as a full technical consulting, project management, if you want to be a successful one, you have to have a coverage of all type of activities. So that needs some good years, and that you cannot just expect. So my suggestion is that you have to have experience in a construction, and then coming into a consulting organization as a part of, because consulting engineers recruits structural design engineer, water supply sanitation design engineer, different type of design engineers they recruit, including quality control, supervision, all. You have to have an experience. So once you have a focus on all type of activities for a consulting engineers who delivers project in totality to the client, then you have an opportunity of become a, because your target, a consulting organization like Stoop, we had 375 in Calcutta office. In the all total, we had 4,000 people. But the focus should be that you should also go up. You should also, if out of that 375 or 350, you have to, if you want to be a number one, you have got to have experience of all. And I think it is Surajit somewhere mentioned about the communication, which is very, very important, because you have got to be friendly with the client. You have to be particularly a person in a client who is more active and who is more important. You have to be a very good friend of him, and for which you need a lot of other diverse knowledge. General out of the engineering you have to be, because in our organization we had a system of sending out people to British Council for 1 month's course on communication, how to write letters, what not. And when the email and this thing came in, then we had again started a new course, because there are a lot of things one can write in email, a lot of things one can write in letters, and a lot of things they should not. So this is generally what I thought is
Thanks.
important.
Yeah, thanks, Amita, for that. And means I think these are really, really very informative and helpful. And I am sure that people who wants to pursue their career in the technical consulting would be very helpful with this, your advice and discussion, even with Surajit and Sandeep. Thank you so much for this advice. Now, Miss, whoever is watching this event, feel free to post your questions in the chat window. We will take it separately at the end of the session. It's just a request. Please keep on posting into the chat. Now let me change the topic a bit. Let us try to understand some of the current trends and way of working based on the experience of our esteemed alumni, right? Let me come to Sandeep the first. Sandeep, in recent times, there are a lot of changes we can feel due to blockchains, introduction of cryptocurrency, and the top of it, we could see there are a lot of imbalance in demand supply of a lot of essential drivers for these things, right? This digitalization, like semiconductor chips, etc. Right? So. Yeah, and recently we have seen it in this era where mandatorily this digitalization is taking over everything, but these essential commodities to drive this digitalization are creating somehow instability. How consultants should adapt themselves to understand the requirement based of their clients? If you just come up with your experience and advice.
I think again that's a great question. So if you look at it, what is the consulting business? Consulting business thrives wherever there is uncertainty, there is ambiguity. So it is your job that you listen to whatever the client says, but you need to structure the problem well and then come up with solutions. So that is number one. Second thing is, lot of times I know there's a lot of technology, everybody is talking about buzzwords, but do what is good for the customer, because a lot of times maybe you will make some short-term money, but the moment you lose your integrity in this consulting world, it's a very connected world. You will never be able to recover from it. That is number two. Number three, if you look at it, you have to read, and read, because that's where, because today it's an internet age, right? So you Google something and go to your client, the customer already knows about it. So you have to way ahead of it. You have to read and read on diverse topics, and also do some introspection on what do you think, because what lot of times I've seen that consultants have long hours, but they don't really introspect that why it should be like that. I think this is what is, I think, lacking today. But it's very important that the way I do it is, if I am overwhelmed with a lot of things, I break it up into maybe 10 parts. I will prioritize it and take it one by one, because it's very common, because it's a human brain, 10 different things, overwhelming. I'm totally confused. But as a consultant, you have to keep calm, because you are the trusted advisor to the customer. If you really panic, the customer will definitely lose confidence. So read, because once you're out of college, we have seen that people stop reading. But what I suggest is, even if it's 5 pages in a day, please do read. It helps, because finally you will be able to connect the dots. Because we have consultants who have actually related fields from psychology, art, and all that. Finally, you have to tell a story. You are selling a promise to the customer, and which is executable. Not that you recommend something which is non-executable, because that creates a very negative connotation.
Thanks, Sandipta. And Surajitda, now coming back to you, Sandipta mostly talked over this way of working, right? Means address the issues and the pain points by way of working. Now, question to you is in the IT sector, right? Specifically in the recent times, specifically post-COVID, what do you feel the dynamics of IT technical consulting change, specifically the way of working, and all, right? What are the key considerations for today's to adapt the changes of means after such a huge means pandemic era, right? So it comes once in a lifetime. Yeah.
So before answering your question, I would like to highlight two things. First of all, I appreciate your questions. These are great questions in very good sequence. A lot of thought has gone into it. I can see that. So thank you. And coming back to piggyback on what Sandeep just said, a good consultant doesn't go and ask their client, tell me what you want me to do. A good consultant goes to a customer and tell them, this is what you should do. And to be able to go there, what Amitabh was saying, the breadth of your knowledge, expertise, unless you have that, you will not be able to go and suggest to your customer, this is what they should be doing. Okay, now coming to your actual question about COVID, the most important or prominent change is travel has gone down significantly. Okay. Now, is it good or bad? People have different perspectives. I personally think the quality of output of technology consultants are better when they travel. They are meeting the customer's team in person. Because you know what? I go to a customer, there are 20 people, 50 people asking me questions because I keep meeting them, right? And to be able to answer them, I prepare myself. I'm on my toes. So I'm learning. At the same time, I now have access to those 20 or 50 people to ask questions of. So this learning by association, interaction, collaboration, it is suffering. So that is my observation, even in my team. Now, on the other side, travel can be time consuming, tiring, it can be stressful too. And it can be a relief. Less travel can be a relief. But we have to make conscious efforts to not to convert our entire day about work. We need to remember to take breaks, go out, pursue hobbies, take care of yourself. End of the day, the guiding principle is keeping it fun, right? So do take care of yourself. Don't get caught up in 24-hour work days just because you are home. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and really, this is really helpful, right? So post-COVID means how you explained that really helps for the kind of means understanding the junior consultants as well, how to shape up their careers and how to thought means how their thought process they need to mold, right? That's means thank you so much for your kind answers, right? Now I want to focus a bit on client handling, which is very essential for technical consulting, I understand. And Amitabh also highlighted a bit on those, right? And I hope everyone would like to hear a bit more from all of you about your experience on this and your guidance on the same. Now, starting with Amitabh, if you could advise from your experience, what would be the secret of success to balance client expectation with the project timelines and deliverables and scoping it right? Right. So those are the couple of important topics for the consultants. If you just give some advice on this.
Okay, thank you, Shreyan. Your question is maybe about 2 lines, but for gaining this out of this question, the answer, of course, is quite a lengthy one. and experience needed to cope with such demand of the client is quite long term. But I will tell you, basically, first my reaction, rather reply, it is, I am assuming that some of you, some of young engineers who have passed out, have done some work, say about 5, 6 years, then you are in a consulting organization, and then my answer is like this. First of all, you might be an expertise in a particular sector, like water supply, sanitation, or road drainage, bridges, etc., etc. But try to keep a focus. Try to learn, gain knowledge on other sectors also. Otherwise, you cannot be a complete rather consulting team's member. Then keep yourself updated with the latest technology being done all worldwide. Now it is so easy. Now it is so easy. There are a lot of equipments are available in our country too. And one has to have an understanding about what are the things available, what are not. And then latest codes, which is very, very important for a technical consultants to a client. He should be able to counter with any questions, because nowadays we don't only go for our own Indian standard codes. Any international codes are applicable anywhere. There are a lot of advantages with other codes also. We have still in Indian codes, we have got a lot of restrictions. We can't do a lot of things where we can do with the ASHTO and others, and DEAN, etc. So one has to have a clear understanding of this thing. And as the question also raised earlier, the interaction with the client. It is very important that you do a personal meeting, one-to-one, eye-to-eye, because in this, if you want to be a successful person in a rather consultancy, you have to understand, and it is very important to understand other side's body language. Without that, we make a big gap. We may be making a huge mistake. That is the reason why we were taught, even when I was working with my CMDs, to always say that when you have got a very difficult issues, do not talk to your client over phone. Because a person can straightaway say very comfortably, sorry, sir, on a phone, but it is so difficult to say sorry, sir, on your face. So don't give him an advantage of telling a sorry. So body language is very important. And one has to understand. That's why the communication is important. We can speak a lot of things, but we cannot write everything. So this is all the process of how we develop ourselves in a consultancy. So consulting is very important in that sense. So it is just not design. I'm repeating again, just not design. It is consultancy has got a lot of big scope of work, responsibility.
So true. Yeah, Amitabh, and thanks for that advice, right? Now coming to Surajit, the most difficult question I gave into the technology consulting area specifically, what would be the best way to communicate the technical details to a non-technical clients? This has always been a hard nut to crack, I guess, in IT consulting.
Yes, indeed. It's a challenge. So let's accept it. It's a challenge for us. And our stake is we need to keep working at it. We love jumping into minute details of technology, right? The very first opportunity, don't you? The first thing we need to learn is to know your audience, and then you tailor your responses. Maybe there is no need to get into technical details when you are interacting with a non-technical person. The problem ones are people who are from the business side and also wants to know the technical details. That's where the problem happens, okay? Now, I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's assume a project milestone has slipped and there is panic everywhere. Now, why the milestone is slipping? What are the technical reasons? You explain that to the technology team, and you make a plan how you can still make the project go live. Okay. When you are talking to the project sponsor, you don't need to go into the technical details. you assure him or her that the project go live will not be impacted due to this slippage because you have worked with his or her team, planned the next steps accordingly, they have validated, and you are confident that you will be able to make the go live there. Not get into the technical details. Give them the assurance that they are looking for. Okay, I'll share one other example. Here where I live, there's a company that the name is the name of a fruit. It starts with an A. So they were asking us to plan to make sure their systems do not go down during the shopping season. And then we had a team of technical people, and we were saying we will use pacemaker on AWS, we'll use system replication, real-time data replication, etc., etc. You know what happened? From the customer side, the lead, after half an hour, he stood up and said, okay, tell me you will be able to do it. Tell me how long you are going to need to do it, and tell me how much it is going to cost. And that's all. And he said that I know who you are representing. I have every belief you will be able to do it, but give me the assurance that you will be able to do it. And we changed our strategy. We answered that. Then we knew the audience. Now we were able to find out who were the technical people that we need to work with, and who are the decision makers, project sponsors, what type of assurance we need to give them. I would say it's still a problem with technical people. We love to get into technical details, and it's a conscious effort we need to make to understand our audience and tailor our responses.
So knowing the audience is very much important, Surajit. Yes, and that. Thanks for highlighting that key area, right? Knowing the audience. Now, from this knowing the audience part, I will like to come to Sandeep. That from you means if you share some experience of dealing with difficult clients means audience and clients on legal contract documentation, communication, etc. That may be a learning for our junior consultants, right?
I think there will be difficult customers everywhere, and particularly if you have worked in this part of the world, you will get abusive customers. The fact that you cannot abuse back, that's the bottom line. And the thing is, let's say this ego you need to keep outside the door, because the moment you show ego, it becomes a I versus you, and that will not solve the problem. The customer will be abusive. He has every right to be abusive. But what I have done is I have tried to remain calm. I have not responded. And what happens is if you have a smile, I think Lord, it's a human being, right? And Amitabh, why did he emphasize on meetings? Because the moment he sees a calm demeanor, I think he will also soften. So that's very, very important. That's how I have dealt with difficult customers, because I had customers calling me at 12 o'clock at night. And fine, it doesn't matter. I will just pick up the phone. Maybe the thing is, he doesn't want a problem to be solved. He just wants to trouble you. So I think that's where if you show a very calm demeanor, I think this can be ironed out. The second aspect, which is not taught in engineering or in MBA, is politics, because typically many clients are political. And if you are sucked into client politics, that's the end game. I don't say you have to get into politics, but you need to safeguard yourself, because there will be two parties who will put you in the middle and fight a battle over you. And finally, it will be tough for you. I think that's where you need to look at how you stay away from politics, yet protect yourself. Third aspect, documentation. I know a lot of us hate documentation, but whenever you go to a meeting, do take notes, and doesn't matter. It's not right that the junior most guy takes notes, because I have seen partners, everybody writing notes, because that minutes have to be published, because tomorrow the client can always go back that I did not say this. So that's why documentation, what is the action item, who will do what is the date, this becomes very important. We may hate it, but this is needed to protect everybody. And that's why legal contract and thing is, what is the scope? Because client will pay you X money, but they will want everything under the sun. That is just not possible. So you have to scope it really well, because scope creep is the biggest problem. While 2, 3 things I will do it for free, but it cannot be, but because otherwise I will bleed. I think these are some of the things. Again, it doesn't happen on a day. You learn it through experience. Every customer is different. The fact that I handled this customer this way doesn't mean that this will work with. But so reading people, understanding their psychology, it's neat. That's why I said define the what Surojitda and Amitabh were mentioning, the soft skills, how you read people, how you understand their psyche. That's actually neat. There's a lot of thinking which goes. It's just not your subject matter. You also have to understand human beings. That's very important.
Yeah, surely, Sandipda. And I saw one quick question on the chat from Saraswat on maybe on the same topic. Maybe Amitabha, if you quickly want to answer, because we are already at the tail end of our program. He's asking, when starting to work consultancy at the beginning, should I primarily focus on the tasks that align with my strengths, or should I be open to taking on any available work? And he's from civil engineering background. If you just give a very quick 2 cents.
Okay, I will give you the very first question I will have in return is this a fresh one? Is he a fresh graduate?
That he had not told, but seeing the question, it seems like he's a very young engineer. Yeah.
Okay. If he's
Fresh.
a very young engineer, my suggestion will be that, you just cannot decide yourself to be focused in a particular stream, no? You have to work with a consulting organization or a design engineering organization as a designer if you want to be in a consultancy, or if you want to be in a consultancy in a project management direction, then you can join as a supervision consultant under someone. But you yourself cannot judge, because once you work, because whatever the subject we learn in our college, I'm telling you very frankly, these are only a basic. When you come in an industry, you will see something totally different. So you just cannot, on your wish and will, you may have a choice. You may have a choice. You might be liking a bridge, or liking highways, or liking water supply, sanitation, or you have done some specialized subject in that, or elective, etc. But once you be in that, once you start working in an organization, you will have 3 or 4 options of different types. And then you will find yourself, I will put in other around also, the organization or your supervisor will find yourself that where you suit best. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is just not on your own.
Yeah. Hope, Saraswat, you got your answer from Amitabha. Thank you so much, Amitabha. And we are at the very tail end of our session. And let's wrap up the session with the key one-liner from each of you. Right. So on this session, Amitabha, will start with you. So Amitabha, you are on mute. If you unmute yourself. Sorry.
Yeah. The basic suggestion to you all is, once you get experience to some extent, to be successful in a consulting organization, because in a consulting organization, as I told earlier also, you have to go up. You just cannot remain there as a design consultant or design engineers or something like that. You have to go up. So for that, you have to think sometimes out of the box, and your selection of options for any item has to be a little appropriate, and cost effectiveness, of course, because that attracts the client. It has to be a cost effective and time delivery. I always say that, we always judge a client by how much I got a recurring project from him. If you do a delivery in time, you got a recurring project, and we always say that is the greatest achievement of the organization, that guy called me and gave a second job. So that is important. So that always depends on the delivery and the cost. And excellent communication. I am telling you once again, I repeatedly telling, this is very, very important. And I think it is someone, I don't remember who mentioned, Surojit, I believe, mentioned, or Sandeep, documentation. Our system in our organization was that once you come out of a meeting, come back to the office. And we used to always say that the minutes of the meeting will be issued by the client, but we used to issue a record note of discussion.
Yeah,
Because
Amitabh. Yeah,
one has to understand between
true.
the minutes of the meeting and record note of
So
discussion.
true. Yeah,
A minutes of meeting is signed by all party, but record of the discussion I can put, at least that will be in the paper. So
correct.
communication is
So
very
that would
important
be the Bible. Yeah.
because a lot of clients and I think Shantip mentioned about the politics, internal politics. Very that is where this thing also, because when there is a meeting with the client, there'll be 4 or 5 guys sitting. They are all not in the same wavelength. One has got to
So,
understand that, and you have got to find the best friend out of them
yeah. So
without
Amitabh,
exposing.
as we are already means at the tail end, maybe we will
Okay.
like to hear one liner from Surajit Da as well,
Yeah,
right? Before,
please. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, sure, Shreya. And first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. One thing I would like to say to the current students or the young friends of mine is that you can do anything. Okay, have that confidence. I have every trust. You can do anything that you strive for. So go for it. And if I can be of any assistance in any way, you have my details. Feel free to reach out anytime, 24/7, 365 days a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Surajit Da. Now coming to you, Sandeep Da, your valuable one-liner takeaway from this session or advice.
So if I look at it, consulting, your network is your net worth. So network well. Network doesn't mean sending a LinkedIn request and forgetting all about it, because you will need people to support you, because we can only do things collectively. We cannot be doing things. So network well.
Yeah, thanks, Sandeep Da. And I'd like to thank all of you, Amitabh Da, Surajit Da, Sandeep Da, for sharing your wonderful experience, insights. This is really very helpful for our audience. I would also like to thank some of our pillars behind this session before we close, Shapon Da, Kalpana Di, for driving the networking program. And thanks to all the volunteers of our alumni networking group for making today's session successful. And big thank to all of our participants for joining us today and those who are watching the recording at your own schedule. Right? I will request you all to join our IIST Shibpur LinkedIn group and WhatsApp community to stay engaged with our IIST Shibpur alumni network. The YouTube link for this session and the others are already published, and check out GAABESU's YouTube channel for all these sessions and all the means all of your question posted into LinkedIn. Our experts are available to help you out through the mentorship program and other programs. Thank you all. Thanks everyone, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.